Honorable EU Commissioner Professor Kostas Gladis, Your Excellencies, dear Mayor of Limassol and ex-mayors of Limassol, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, friends of Limassol. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the 5th Blue Limassol Forum, a milestone in our city, ongoing journey to shape its coastline responsibly, inclusively, and with vision. What began as a small gathering of concerned citizens, municipal officials, and academics has grown into a vibrant, structured process, a civic laboratory where ideas, science, and policy converge. Each year, we do more than talking. We actually discuss, debate, and derive to a roadmap for the municipality on which they can plan the next year's activity. Together, we are delivering such deliverables. It is not symbolic. It is strategic, and it is democratic. At the heart of the Blue Limassol Forum is connection between citizens who live and breathe the daily reality of our coast, the municipality, which carries the responsibility to plan wisely, and the academic community, which brings insight, data, and sometimes inconvenient truths. We don't shy away from the uncomfortable. We live, ladies and gentlemen, in uncertain times. And there is a debate about the climate change, which has been polarized the society in two extremes. The apocalyptic urgency on the one side, and on the other side, the stubborn denial. We cannot control the very extreme sides. But what we can do and what we must do is to give a voice to the sensible majority of our society. Those who care deeply but don't scream. Those who seek solutions, not slogans. This forum is for them, although we will not neglect the extremes. Now, let me be clear. Total decarbonization, whilst it is aspirational, is extremely expensive and in all likelihood not entirely achievable, at least not to the timelines often proclaimed, but this is by no means a defeat, far from it. If we accept that the Earth has natural carbon sinks, oceans, forests, and intelligent technologies, and we focus on removing excess carbon dioxide, we still bring our system into balance. Not by chasing utopias, but by harnessing what is real, what works, and what we can afford. Realistic data, joint action, and local empowerment. This is the spirit in which we can still arrest the global warming, step by step by step, and to protect our unique coastline. In this spirit, Blue Limassol Forum 2025 has launched its second citizen survey, and I'm pleased to announce that over 800 residents took the time to share their views. This feedback, Mr. Mayor, is gold. It will directly shape the forum's outcome and strengthen our claim to speak as a community. And finally, to this year's theme, ongoing Limassol Coastal Transformation, how we establish an inclusive approach. This question cuts deep because inclusivity is not a buzzword. It is the only way to ensure that the transformation is not just technical or regulatory, but human. We are not building a coastline for technocrats. We are building it for people, for families, for workers, for youth, and for the future generation. So I invite you all today to engage as co-creators and not just as spectators. Speak up the truth, share your expertise, listen deeply, and help us to chart a course for a coastline that belongs to all of us. And without further ado, I just have to give a few bullet points from the organizers. There is no fire drill planned today. So if the alarm bells go off, it's a real one. We have to evacuate the building through the stairs on the right-hand side, and we gather in front of the building. It's a time to set the mobile phones on silent. And we have for all of you organized the Slido communication tool. All questions, comments, suggestions, which you raise in Slido, we will capture, and we will give you a written reply if we don't manage it during the course of the day. All questions have to be limited to minimum 1.5 minutes. And the challenge to our experts to give a reply within 2 minutes. I wish all of us a successful and fruitful Blue Limassol Forum number 5. And I would call upon the podium Dr. George Demosthenous, the Rector of the Frederick University, to deliver his welcome address. George, the floor is yours.
Dear Commissioner, esteemed Member of Parliament, Mayor of Limassol, former Mayor of Limassol, former Minister, Deputy Minister, dear President of District of Limassol, distinguished colleagues, rectors and professors from the EU Connexus, dear President of Frederick University, dear friends, colleagues, and guests. It is truly a pleasure to welcome you today to the Blue Limassol Forum 2025 here at the vibrant DP World Limassol Cruise Terminal. I should first extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guests and to the citizens and officials that support the Blue Limassol Forum. Naturally, a special acknowledgement goes to our present Mayor Yannis Armeftis and the former Mayor Nikos Nikolaidis. They have left their mark, and their enthusiasm for Limassol's sustainable and inclusive growth remains unwavering. As Rector of Frederick University, I am particularly honored to address such a diverse assembly of leaders, scholars, policymakers, industry professionals, and our valued community members. Especially allow me to extend my gratitude and sincere thanks to my friend and ex-colleague, Dr. Kostas Kadis, the EU Commissioner for Fisheries and Oceans, who accepted the invitation and came to Cyprus to support our initiative. And it is also a pleasure to be around friends and colleagues, notably the rectors and professors from the EU Connexus University Alliance, of which Frederick University is a member. Speaking of transformations, Limassol's coastal transformation is indeed profound, and navigating these changes demands inclusive approaches. Our city has undergone a remarkable evolution from a regional port town to a dynamic urban center that attracts international attention. With this growth, however, come pressing challenges: rapid population increase, rising demand for land and housing, stress on infrastructure, energy networks, and environmental pressures on our coastlines and green spaces. I'm looking forward to our speakers who will further analyze these matters. These are not isolated issues. They are interconnected and demand a coordinated citizen-centered strategy to ensure that progress does not come to the cost of quality of life or ecological balance. At Frederick University, we firmly believe in the transformative power of education and research, and believe recognized internationally. Our role as a founding member of the Sustainable Development Solutions Network Cyprus keeps us at the forefront of national efforts to advance the SDGs. This commitment is reflected in our performance in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, where we are ranked among the top 200 to 300 universities worldwide. For the second consecutive year, we are proud to be the only university in Cyprus to achieve this distinction. With over 2,150 institutions participating globally, this recognition is a powerful testament to our sustained commitment to the SDGs and our dedication to building a better future for all. One of our most ambitious steps forward has been through our active participation in the European University Alliance EU Connexus, a strong partnership among 9 distinguished universities across Europe. Together, we are building a hub of excellence in smart urban coastal sustainability, dedicated to transforming science and innovation into tangible, community-driven solutions. I think it's self-evident how this collaboration is especially relevant to Limassol. Finally, allow me a quick note for our Department of Maritime, Transport and Commerce, which is central to all these efforts. I will not elaborate on recent initiatives, links with the industry, or other achievements. I think it is sufficient just to mention that today, more than 100% of the maritime industry workforce in Cyprus proudly consists of Frederick alumni. In addition, our graduates enjoy an impressive employability rate, with 96% securing jobs in their field within just 6 months of graduation. In this context, the forum, uniquely designed to gather stakeholders alongside everyday citizens, it embodies our shared vision: collaboration for collective growth. Indeed, what makes the Blue Limassol Forum unique lies in the essence of what also motivated us to join EU Connexus. It is precisely the capacity to unite diverse voices, fostering dialogue between decision makers and citizens who together shape the destiny of our city's coastal transformation. Today's discussions will undoubtedly yield valuable insights. It is my hope that the outcomes of this forum serves a practical stepping stones towards an inclusive, prosperous, and sustainable Limassol. A great and sincere thanks to the members of the organizing committee of the event, and naturally to the DP World Limassol for their outstanding hospitality and their assistance. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive forum.
Thank you, Professor. I would now call upon the podium the Mayor of Limassol, Mr. Yannis Amestis, for his opening address.
EU Commissioner Kostas Kavis, Member of the Parliament, former Mayor, ex-minister, deputy minister, president of the Frederick, president of EOA, dear professors, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, partners, and friends. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the 5th Blue Limassol Forum, an event which since 2020 has become a key platform for dialogue, vision, and collaboration. Events like this are valuable for local authorities as we engage in dialogue with key stakeholders, experts, and the community on issues that can shape our future. This year's theme addresses a challenge that resonates deeply with every coastal city navigating the pressures of rapid urban development alongside growing environmental challenges. For us, Limassol is not just a city by the sea. It is a living entity with an evolving coastal ecosystem and a dynamic gateway for business, culture, and connection across the Mediterranean. With these opportunities, however, come important responsibilities. We need to face both equally and with determination if we want to achieve our goal for climate neutrality for Limassol by 2030. We firmly believe that the transformation of our coastline must be an inclusive process, one where every resident, every neighborhood, and every stakeholder has a role to play. We see Limassol Port as a major part of our city that can no longer operate as a fenced-off industrial zone. Our vision for Limassol seafront begins with reconnecting the port to Achtea Odos, creating a high-quality human-centered public space for pedestrians, cyclists, and green mobility. This cannot happen unless the shipyard is relocated. Henceforth, a new pier will serve not just an infrastructure, but as a vibrant link to the sea, opening walkways, plazas, and a public life. To support this transformation, we must reduce car dependency and introduce a modern public transport system connecting the city's key areas. In this context, it's important that the passenger terminal be better integrated into the city with easy, direct, and sustainable access. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a shared journey that touches every aspect of our community. And this forum, organizing with Frederick University and supported by DP World Limassol, give us a great opportunity to build new synergies that bring together the academia, the local government, the wider industry, and the community to co-create strategies that promote environmental sustainability, economic resilience, and above all, social inclusion. Together, we can turn the vision of a city for all into a reality. I am confident that Limassol can lead this dialogue by creating spaces for participation, transparency, and shared decision-making. Allow me to thank our partners at Frederick University, especially my friend Angelos, for their unwavering commitment to maritime research and education, as well DP World Limassol for their strong support and relief in this initiative. I am certain we will all benefit from the insights and contributions for our distinguished speakers, panelists, and participants. Thank you for being part of this important conversation. Let us move forward together with ambition, responsibility, and unity. Welcome to the Blue Forum 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. We are delighted that you have highlighted the word connection. We are committed to connect and to deliver also next year. Now I'd like to call upon the podium Professor Cadiz, the EU Commissioner for Fisheries and Oceans, former Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment, to deliver his keynote. We are delighted to have you here, Commissioner. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm also delighted to be here with you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for the opening of the 2025 edition of the Blue Limassol Forum, an important platform for discussing key issues and initiatives related to the blue economy and coastal sustainability, with a special focus on the beautiful city of Limassol. Let me first congratulate the organizers, Frederick University and the Municipality of Limassol, and the supporters, DP World Limassol, for this important initiative, and thank them for the invitation. This year's topic, ongoing Limassol Coastal Transformation and how can we establish an inclusive approach, is very timely. And it is very timely because it comes at a critical moment of the development of the European Ocean Pact. The pact will be the European Commission's flagship initiative for ocean-related policies, and will be presented in a few days at the United Nations Ocean Conference that will take place in Nice. The Ocean Pact has been developed following an inclusive approach, and it is based on an extensive consultation exercise through which we received feedback from hundreds of stakeholders, universities, think tanks, local communities, the fisheries and aquaculture sector, citizens from all over Europe, but also from outside Europe, from other countries. And this shows how the European citizens, but also the rest of the world, are interested on this initiative, and to see what will be the proposal of the European Union for the sustainable governance of ocean. So the Ocean Pact aims to propose a comprehensive and strategic framework for all ocean-related policies, the policies that affect the ocean and they are affected by the ocean. And in this effort, it will aim to foster healthy ocean and protect the ocean's biodiversity, promote a competitive EU blue economy with special focus on fisheries and aquaculture, put special emphasis on coastal and island communities, contribute to global science-based marine knowledge through research and innovation, enhance maritime security and resilience. And we know how important is this dimension, taking into consideration today's geopolitical context and the importance of infrastructure that the ocean hosts, and how important is this infrastructure for contemporary societies. And finally, promote a responsible governance model of the oceans. These will be integral building blocks of our journey towards a sustainable future for our oceans, for our fisheries and aquaculture sectors. This journey is not just about preservation. It is also about transformation, as we seek to find the right balance between preserving our rich maritime heritage and finding innovative solutions to address the challenges the fisheries, the aquaculture, and generally the blue economy sectors face. And I'm happy to say that we are making progress on this journey. By the first half of 2026, we will unveil our comprehensive roadmap for the energy transition of our fishing fleet. This will guide us towards achieving climate neutrality and enhancing our competitiveness by 2050. Our roadmap will examine regulatory and economic strategies, financial options, innovations, and skills development. To make sure that our roadmap genuinely reflects the sector's needs and aspirations, we need all our stakeholders on board and involved, including those from cities and communities. And that is why the roadmap is being developed by the Energy Transition Partnership. The partnership launched by the European Commission in 2023 is a collaborative platform open to all concerned stakeholders. Again, we have the inclusive approach. It is designed to accelerate the energy transition in the EU fisheries and aquaculture sector. And as such, the Energy Transition Partnership exemplifies our collaborative spirit with workshops and working groups that invite diverse insights and solutions from stakeholders. Furthermore, inclusive coastal planning is key to a sustainable future and will be also addressed in the Ocean Pact. It should be developed alongside maritime spatial planning, defining a coherent regulatory framework for all activities on or near our coastlines. This integrated approach will ensure balanced development that respects both economic objectives and environmental needs. Another key aspect of driving the energy transition are, of course, port cities, like Limassol. These cities provide essential infrastructure that supports the development of innovative technologies, alternative energy sources, skills, and new business models necessary for progress and competitiveness. They are also crucial in bridging the land and sea, acting as vital hubs for cohesion and economic, social, and environmental growth of our coastal communities. In addition, port cities play an important role in fostering integrating green mobility within the European Union, facilitating seamless connections that push forward a more climate neutral and innovative fisheries and maritime sector. Looking ahead, the challenges facing port cities should also be addressed in an integrated and inclusive way. The energy transition and the broader blue economy should inspire us to transform the ports into energy hubs and port cities into centers of green and blue sustainable activities. On its quest for sustainability, Limassol has undertaken a laudable and ambitious commitment, achieving climate neutrality by 2030. And the European Commission recognized last year Limassol's effort by awarding it the European Union Mission label for its commitment to this goal. This is an important milestone for the city, which boosts its international profile. And I would like to congratulate the Limassol Municipality, the former mayor, the mayor for this initiative, for continuing this initiative, and encourage your engagement and participation in shaping and supporting also the energy transition of the EU aquaculture and fisheries sector. Together, we can navigate these challenges and achieve a resilient, climate neutral future for our fisheries, aquaculture, and port cities. Moreover, I encourage you to advance your efforts to develop the e-platform for risk assessment and monitoring of marine pollution incidents. This important tool, alongside with other emerging platforms and technologies, will help us to protect and preserve the marine environment. The European Commission and me personally are at your disposal, and we are ready to support you in this direction. I'd like to thank you once again for your invitation and wish you a successful forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. It was great to hear that the European Union and the Commission praise the oceans, the cradle of our life, which millennia for years have provided what the society needs, starting from food, later from oil, and now from the connectivities. It is great also to hear from you that the oceans are now on such a high agenda. The oceans will offer also a solution to the problems. And if we connect all the solutions, for sure we will prevail. The risk assessment, which you mentioned in your speech, touched me by the heart, because it was one of the deliverables from the first Blue Limassol Forum. The citizens have put that very high on their agenda, that the Bay of Limassol has to be protected by all means. Thank you, Your Excellency. We open now the panel, and I would like to have Dr. Radu Vacarenu already in the chair, Dr. Carola Hein, Alexandros Josefidis from the Cyprus Shipping Chamber, and Maria Boyle. It's a free seating, Alex. Radu, you want to present from there or you want the podium? Yeah? Okay, then I take your chair. Professor Radu Vacarenu holds the chair of the governing board of EU Connexus, European University for Smart Urban Coastal Sustainability, a real expert. His presentation will be on the inclusive coastal planning for a sustainable future. Doctor.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Distinguished officials, dear participants in the forum, it is my great pleasure and honor as well to be here with you and to deliver a presentation about an European alliance very much aligned to the needs of the citizens and the theme of the forum of today. And I very much cherish the opportunity, and meanwhile, I very much enjoyed the city of Limassol and Cyprus. And I'm very excited about the event of today that took the shape of the cooperation between academia and local government. And I very much evaluate this cooperation between the municipality of Limassol and Frederick University. And I would put my presentation in this context. So the presentation of today will be shaped in three parts. The first part, some information about European Universities Alliance, then with a focus on our alliance. And in the last part, what can we deliver? What can we deliver to the European citizens? What can we deliver to the European taxpayers? Because at the end of the day, we are working in this environment. What about the European universities? It was an initiative started in 2019, so 6 years ago. And currently, almost half of the students of Europe are part of these European alliances. And we have more than 60 European alliances. Our alliance was in the first wave in 2019, Right now, we have 600 joint study programs at all levels. So I mean bachelor, master, and doctoral studies, 160 joint degree programs, and more than 400 short courses leading to micro-credentials. The key topic areas the European University cover are structured like this. And you can notice that at the heart, most of the alliances address issues related to sustainability and environment as our alliance as well. What are the main, let's say, key drivers for EU policy developments? These alliances enhance European integration. These are the main topics. Social engagement, higher education, job market relevance, promotes common values, support innovative mobility formats and joint programs, and facilitate removing the national legal barriers in higher education. But at the key, at the heart, it's to have European citizens fully integrated and fully ready to deliver. Also, the European alliances are accelerators for national policy developments because the national authorities are pushing the boundaries and adapting the national legislation and policies to remove the barriers, progressing to a seamless transnational cooperation in higher education that is very much valued. And also, these European alliances are testbeds and laboratories for the universities of the future, promoting innovative pedagogies, mobility models, and joint educational offerings. Also, they are key players of local ecosystems and political support at the highest level, contributing to the local and regional development, offering services to the society, involving internal stakeholders in governance structures for more than half of this kind of alliances, and we receive a robust support from EU institutions and political figures who advocate for a significant increase in funding. Now, related to EU Connexus. So this is a general framework. The EU Connexus is a strong partnership covering 9 universities, aligned with the same mission to provide science and innovation into a hub of excellence on smart urban coastal sustainability, creating a unique way of studying and carrying out research through institutional alignment and seamless mobility for all, trying to shape the regional policies and promote national cultures of the partner countries. What are the goals of EU Connexus? To provide common European degrees and common European diplomas, to integrate multidisciplinarity, multilingual and innovative joint educational program, to approach education and research to business and public policy making, and to become the global leader in higher education and research in the area we assume from the beginning, smart urban coastal sustainability. Now, what can we deliver? We have identified 6 societal challenges we can address: disaster mitigation, coastal waste management, sustainable disease management, healthy food and soil, protecting oceans, seas, and waters, and adaptation and mitigation of global climate change in coastal environment. And we are very much committed to deliver position papers, research, education through 4 joint research institutes we created, putting together the resources of that 9 universities Frederick is part of. We very much work to raise awareness of young generation and future EU Connexus students by university to school program. So inviting high school students and even medium high school students to participate in school contests. So far, we have more than 2,000 participants, and we got brilliant ideas from junior high school and high school students during this context. In Cyprus, Frederick University and Limassol Municipality are leaders with their contribution with the very forum we are today here. It's a major annual event featuring key urgent issues and solutions in blue economy and coastal sustainability, leveraging Limassol's unique position as a leading commercial and shipping center, a major coastal city in the southeast of Mediterranean. 2025 Blue Limassol Forum address a lot of issues, and most of them are very much aligned with our alliance. Green ports, balancing urban development with environmental sustainability, coastal transformation, with a major outline of local communities actively participating in decision-making process. We are also very committed to close the gap between industry, research, and coastal societies. We launched the Stakeholder Academy, and so far we have 68 participants that are from industry, from local government, central government, working with us in this academy. We train experts on societal challenges and to adapt the skills. We launched the first joint master in marine biotechnologies, and we are expecting this year to have 50 graduates. And currently we are working to develop a second joint master program in leadership in smart urban coastal sustainability. Also, as I mentioned, we want to raise the awareness of the European citizens, to instill a feeling of European citizenship. And in this respect, we already organized 3 cultural festivals, and one is ongoing right now, organized by Frederick University, with a very, very targeted title, Hotel Mediterranean. And as I said yesterday in the beginning, or the day before yesterday, Mediterranean is the cradle of our European civilization, and we very much cherish this. Also, the Teaching Academy, coordinated by Frederick University, with more than 300 teaching staff from all partner universities. Also, PhD students participating in share courses, more than 180 graduates until May 2025, out of which 8 students were being from Frederick University and 2 PhD summer schools, 55 graduates, out of which 6 are from Frederick University. And also, we developed 34 share study programs. So this is a flavor of our university, and we very much look forward to work for the transformation of the coastal areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Vaccarino. We are proud and honored that you have recognized the hard work Frederick University is delivering. And I can assure you, EU Connexus is very close to our heart, and we will be with you all the way. I would like now to ask Professor Hein if she is ready. Professor Hein will give us a presentation on integrating land and sea and connecting people, blue activities by blue activities. Professor Hein is a professor of the history of architecture and urban planning at the Delft University of Technology. She is a brilliant speaker, a very smart person, and a loyal customer of the Blue Limassol Forum. Carola, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that kind introduction. And it's truly a pleasure to be here again, and for once in person and not just on the screen. It's an honor to speak to all of you and have this distinguished audience here. And already we had this morning the roundtable and heard the lots of interesting words, Mr. Mayor, the Commissioner, etc. So thanks again for being here. And so this morning, we already talked about the integration of port and city. And one of the big points I kept on making is it's port, city, and territory. And this territory is both sea and land. Let's not forgive that there are things, fishes, animals living in the water that we want to be engaging with. And it's just as important as the far away land in the background that provides us with the water that we drink because you have these nice storage lakes, or the energy that is being generated way outside, or the food that is brought in from other locations. So my first point, and I didn't bring that slide back, I think we need to talk about port and city and territory on sea and land. Now, we've been working on this topic for quite some time, and we hear all these important themes coming along. We need to talk about health, we need to talk about logistics. Yes, we all agree on this, but how are we going to do this and bring all people on board? Because for the citizens, logistics means something else than it means for the fisheries or that it means for the port. How do we come to an agreement on this? When, who was I speaking this morning with? Vittorio, where are you? If you take your kid to school and you're stopped by all these trucks on the street, you go angry at the port. If you are the port authority leader, well, you grow angry at the kids crossing the street. And these are the kind of value conflicts, and you can be the same person, but these are the kind of value conflicts we've been trying to capture in these images. Logistics and livability. Is it about the kids playing on the street, or is it about the trucks getting through? And we can both all argue both and the other. But the tricky part and the challenge is to bring these both together in the same space, because it's all coming together, the numbers, the flows, the goods, it's all about the same space. And I think you will recognize many of these other dualities, conflicts, whatever you want to call them, that come together here, whether it's about global trade and local governance. How do we deal with those forces coming from far away into a local condition? Heritage and migration, I think that's definitely a theme to be talked about in Limassol. How do we preserve heritage sites that have grown with specific communities? They have taken care of it, and we may have new migrants, new people coming in that don't live those same traditions anymore. And how do we preserve those sites? Technology and happiness. AI is very hot, but how do we make sure that it doesn't necessarily just repeat all those things that we are trying to get rid of? So we could discuss any of these and coming back to it. But what I thought might be helpful, and I have only visited Limassol very briefly, so I don't have the knowledge that you have. I've been trying to chat with as many people as I can and have had some insights here. So I thought I'd take you for a moment to Rotterdam, where I'm currently in the area, and discuss those same themes, and maybe you will recognize some of those same challenges. First of all, this is the port city territory of Rotterdam. That is the port, the cities, because there's not just Rotterdam, Delft, I don't have a laser, yeah, there we go. The city of The Hague, Delft, all of these other cities are not Rotterdam. Yet without them, there would not be the port of Rotterdam. Where are the headquarters? Shell, everybody, they sit in The Hague, near the ministries. They don't sit necessarily in the port. So we have a big territory, including the greenhouse areas where all the food is grown. The Netherlands is the fourth biggest food exporter, despite being this tiny little country. So let's forget about Rotterdam. Let's forget about this big red thing here in the middle, because that's a port which is out of comparison. It's among the 10 biggest. But what is interesting, I think, for Limassol, and what I'm trying to say is, choose your peers wisely. Think about who do you really want to be compared with. And I don't think it's Rotterdam per se. It is all those small red dots around here. I mean, this is, just to give you a scale, the port of Rotterdam is about 40 kilometers long. So put this over Limassol, and that's only the port length. But all these small red dots are separate ports. There's actually one separate port here within the port. And I'm not going to give you all those names because they're really nice Dutch names that are quite complicated. But what I would like to point out is a couple of engagements between port and city that might be inspirational. In this area that I'm showing here, which is Merwewierhaven and Schiedam, you have a tiny port that is changing. Merwewierhavens, or usually we call it M4H, because even for most people it's not pronounceable. So M4H is an area where the port is pulling out and the city is coming in, but it is a coexistence. So new businesses that are coming in, maybe 3D printing for ships. So it's not a complete departure of the maritime industry. It's an integration. It's thinking along with the maritime. It's thinking about the future of maritime. So even where do you put offshore wind energy engineers? Well, they ended up being just next to the site, this site that I'm showing you, a little bit higher up. And this is an independent port called Schiedam that the managers of that port managed to outperform, let's say, the port of Rotterdam, in the sense that the port of Rotterdam wanted their workers all the way 40 kilometers in the middle of nowhere. The engineers didn't want to go there. They want their kids to be in international schools and have leisure. So the small city of Schiedam said, hey, guys, come all here. And they built a little cluster to the point that now the port of Rotterdam has to recognize them. That is what I'm talking about, port-city integration. And a city can play it very smartly, even, well, outmaneuvering to a certain degree the port that has other interests. Let me give you one more example in that area. This is the little port of Scheveningen. It's actually a port without back access. It has all kinds of interesting functions. It also serves for the taking away the water from the city. So it is a very interesting port. It has heritage buildings. Sea level rise is a big problem. How are we going to deal with this? Flooding is already happening. And it's a port with mixed functions. So just to give you an idea, there are yachts, there's a yacht house, there is one of the biggest fisheries is still there. And that's interesting because the fishery sector will say, our fish are going to move 100 kilometers up if climate change happens, well, we'll follow them. But how do we maintain a key business in such a small port, or to turn it around, how do we make sure that there's still engagement with the local community? And what I mean here is we heard talking about sound pollution and things like that. Well, people who've worked for the port, who've grown up with the port, they might say, oh, cool, I hear this horn. I've always lived with this. I'm nostalgic. The new people who've moved in, who buy a 2 million euro loft, they call the port, there's noise at 6 a.m. and I want to sleep. And those messages we're getting all around the world. Why is there this stupid railway in my backyard? Well, you wanted a view on the port. This is just how it is. And those are the kind of, I'm looking at the mayor, maybe he's getting these calls too. But those are the kind of challenges that we have to figure out. And maybe we want to keep a different type of community than in the proximity of the port. Scheveningen just developed this port vision in the last couple of months. And what I found intriguing, which is why I'm showing you this, they came up with different capitals. So it's not just economic capital, but it's also social and cultural capital at the intersection of sea and land. And that includes, for example, seaweed farming out in the sea, how to integrate multiple functions of wind turbines with seaweed, with leisure activities, which are often a legal challenge and which is not possible. Those are the kinds of things we should be talking about. But I couldn't help, my home right now is Paris for still one more month. So I couldn't help but bring Paris to you because I do think that it is an interesting case. And Paris is a port city. And Paris has a story of multiple, let's see, why is this not moving? There. Multiple water uses. And what we've been playing with is to say there are different water values. If I look at water as a person who is swimming, having leisure, I see a different water than the person who sees it as defense, as sewage. If I think about heritage and have the Louvre here, I do have a different perspective. How can we get those values together? What Paris managed, and that's why I think it's interesting, you all know the Olympics. All of a sudden, swimming became the main item. And they've been building this up for the last 20 years. It's not a on one-off and one-off governance. They had Paris Beach 20 years ago. They've been pursuing the same line, and they're continuing it. So swimming gets in the head, shipping has to change. Shipping is mad, but shipping has to change. Sewage had to change. You all saw that in the press, I'm sure. How do we deliberate these things, and what can the different organizations help? In the case of Paris, heritage was really an enabler, telling it's a World Heritage Site, thus we no longer want the infrastructure, we want this to change. And Paris recently won the special mention of the Antoine Ruffenac Prize, and I'm calling really on Limassol to make an application in the next round. And why this tiny little port? It's called Javelbah Port. This is a port that is temporal, you could say, in the sense that these gates shut only when there's a ship. When there's no transportation taking place, it's a public passage. They put all the industries, which they kept in the 15th arrondissement in Paris, so one of the chic, rich areas. The mayor was not so happy, but they managed to keep port functions in the city, because if you want to benefit from the port, well, you better also live with the port and have the port engage in meaningful ways, which also means do different types of shipping. Paris has now IKEA shipping at night over the Seine rather than having trucks coming into the city. They've developed specific containers out of aluminum that are lightweight, and they take them with electric cars into the center of the city. Some supermarkets are doing similar things. So I'm trying to say with the Antoine Ruffenac Prize, which is about the integration of port and city and architectural lived solutions that play to it, there is a need for multi-temporal, so different times, shipping at night, the sea, and multi-spatial solution. This is why we made what we made the icons for. This is almost a grammar of icons, so it would be nice to play with people, because as soon as you start playing, what's your water quality? And what does it mean for someone else? If you want to change the environment for the fish and the ecology, well, who else has a problem or not with this? So we're trying to develop tools that make this value deliberation much more tangible. And interestingly, we did it recently in Nijmegen. And if I had told the ship captain, your interests are aligned with those of the fish, they would just have kicked me out of the room. But after having an hour of gaming and playing with it, he said, well, in fact, my interests are aligned with the fish. I want to get the flow of the river, etc. So we need new tools to think about it, which is also one of the goals of the cost action that we are currently working on, where Limassol is one of the pilot studies, which is what we will be doing here tomorrow with several of the people in the room. And I also wanted to be apologies, but promotional. We host a workshop for port cities in the Netherlands with the idea, look at Rotterdam, Amsterdam, The Hague, to do good things. And for me, Limassol is really one of those examples that I'm promoting everywhere, particularly because of Blue Limassol and the integration of citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your inspiring presentation. It is clear, I think, to everybody in the room, we have to connect. We have to be together. We have to talk, to listen, and to find solutions to challenges. And we are proud, Professor Hein, that you recognize that the Blue Limassol Forum has contributed to the mindset of connecting the stakeholders. Thank you so much. We have with us the Director General of the Cyprus Shipping Chamber, Alexandros Yosefidis. Alex, would you mind to give us a little bit of an insight of how the Cyprus Shipping Chamber can assist in the journey to get our coastal city, Limassol, aligned with the ship management companies, the ship owning companies, and the academia. What do you think the chamber has to offer in the context of connecting people?
First of all, thank you for inviting me. Congratulations to the mayor, the municipality, and Frederick for organizing this event for the fifth year. There has been some amazing results coming out of this effort, and we'll touch upon those. But because although I recognize most faces in the audience, but for the sake of those who are coming from abroad, I should say a couple of things of who we are. Captain Cyprus Shipping Chamber is the shipping industry, the resident industry trade association. We take in our membership owners and managers as the core of our membership, but around that we also admit service providers and experts in all aspects that provide services to ships. So we are an all-inclusive cluster organization. We manage from this island, I can say, more than 2,800 ships. We employ more than 70 to 80,000 seafarers. So there's a tremendous know-how, and that is why we're called a leading ship management and shipping center. Now, all these numbers that I mentioned now show the tremendous technical know-how that there is in managing ships. And how can we bring together, Captain, what you just said for the coastal transformation, the various players? Of course, shipping is recognized as the most environmentally friendly mode of transport. Okay? We are. And that is something that is accepted by fact. And we're being very stringently regulated in all aspects, whether it's emissions into the atmosphere or whether it's discharges into the sea. There is regulation coming upon us. And, Captain, you know very well, from the IMO, from the European Union, and shipping is cleaning up its act. It has cleaned up its act quite tremendously. Mediterranean Sea now has become a SEC area, a sulfur emission control area. So the oil that we burn on the ships across the Mediterranean is going to be low sulfur fuel, low sulfur, and there are now movements to make the Mediterranean into a NECA area. So we will regulate also the nitrous oxides that are coming out of our ships. And I'm saying all this to just dispel a perception that is, very prevalent here in Limassol and along the public, that the ships that are sitting out there off the coast are the ones that are causing the pollution in the sea. I think I would challenge our professors to just walk along the coast. You'll see some of the cleanest waters that you'll see around. Cyprus is recognized for its cleanest beaches around Europe, despite the heavy traffic out at the port. So it is not our ships that are causing the problem. Our ships are taking on the responsibility. And last month only, Captain, I will not take too long, you said 2 minutes. We are the first industry on a global basis to be regulated for our emissions. We have a target to reach 2050 net zero emissions. And this without being given the tools. The governments want us to decarbonize, and they want us to go around the world looking for the proper fuel to decarbonize, which is not available. But that's a side note. As the principal trade association of the Cyprus shipping industry, we're actively engaged with government bodies, with all the stakeholders in formulating maritime policies. And I think Captain has been our chairman and our president for 6 consecutive years and has led our association quite capably into growing through the years. So he can complement what I'm saying now here, Captain, please. What have we done? In 2012, ex-Minister of Communications came and said, we have the Limassol Declaration. And Vasilis, where are you? Based upon that, together with some of our colleagues, and Zaharia Shogors, I'm going to mention a couple of names here, and Captain Adami, we worked on really developing what is called the Cyprus Foundation of the Sea, which the captain is chairing today. This Foundation of the Sea exactly brings together all the stakeholders, the academia, the public, the private sector, in discussing issues that affect our blue economy, our sea, our marine environment. We also, together with our members, participate every year in these events, and we participate also in deliverables and outcomes that are leading to projects that will lead to our blue, leading Limassol into being what we call the blue city by by 2030. Now we are also involved in projects which will be providing sustainable electricity to vessels offshore, as well as soon we're also participating in a project that will be providing the onshore power supply at the port of Limassol from 2030 onwards, which is a European obligation of Cyprus. So in a sense, we are engaging everybody, we're engaging as an organization, we're getting involved, but we are actually pulling together stakeholders to really sit down, think, and formulate these policies that will actually deliver what we're actually discussing here, Captain.
Thank you, Alex, for the insight of how the chamber is working. The Blue Limassol Forum has identified that you need people to drive shipping and to drive the marine environmental protection. And we are subject to changes. The regulatory framework is changing faster than we can sometimes clean our laundry. The people need to learn, the people need to adapt. And the academia here in Cyprus, I believe, is ahead of curve with the new programs, and the new generation of seafarers will be aligned, and the future education for the office staff, we heard it from Professor Baccareno, needs to be brought up to scale to handle all the new things which are coming. So the solution is education. This I took home also from your presentation. So if we want to have a sustainable future, we should start with a very agile education. We have with us also Professor Maria Boyle. She is from the University of Port and Terminal Policy Management things from the Technical University of Piraeus. She's an expert on how to make things not wrong and how to connect or how to correct things which have not been right so much. Professor Boyd, could you help us a little bit to get us in the right track to move the Port of Limassol forward?
Okay, thank you very much for the question and for framing it nicely so it doesn't put extra pressure on me. Things not go wrong. Okay. I would like also to thank the organizers and for the invitation. It's an honor and pleasure to be here and to be able to share my experience. I'm a transportation engineer in my background. I work at the University of Piraeus as professor of port and terminal policy and management. But at the same time, I'm leading the shipping and ports sector at the National Research Center in Greece, the Center for Research and Technology. And I'm affiliated faculty with the Center for Advanced Infrastructure and Transportation at Rutgers University in New Jersey, which is the state university, and they have this federally funded center. I spent the first 20 years of my career in the US, and I worked very closely with the whole industry in the Port of New York and New Jersey area, which is a huge lab, I would say, and excellent experience. Any problem that you can imagine related to port-city interaction is there. So we had over the 20 years the opportunity to experience and work with that. But if we were to first of all, let me say two things that are commonly known, but we need to have this basic understanding that a port is a port and each port is different. So it's not that we have a good model and we can replicate it anywhere. So each port is different. The port-city relationship is different between areas, and it is different throughout the time because it is a dynamic relationship that changes with time. With that in mind, I would say that the main points of friction between port and city, I would say three. There are more, but there are three important ones. And the first one is the modal interchange. Like it was mentioned earlier that cargo comes, trucks come to pick it up, they go out the gate, they cross the street, kids cross the street to go to school. So interface, modal interface is an area of friction. Then we have the operations inside the port that no matter what, they are energy consuming and they are polluting. So we're not talking about zero pollution, we're talking about reducing and making the operations environmentally friendly. When the operations cannot sustain the growth or the business practices of the port, and it's not only the increasing growth of trade, but it is also the practices that we have from businesses, bigger and bigger vessels. And that means bigger shipment size. And that means extra pressure on ports to accommodate that big size. And then operational measures may not work. And at that point, we go into that third point that I would like to say. It's about space, the expansion. And when we have ports that have grown organically together with their urban environment, then there is an inevitable friction there because space is just not there. So we have cases in which the ports expand into the water or along the coast if it is possible, but this is a stressful, I would say, relations. What do we do? As I said, there is no recipe here for success, but we have tools that can help us in that direction. And I think technology in many cases can help and support because technology means that we can gather data, we can have real-time information, we can optimize operations, and that means data means knowledge. It can be translated to knowledge, and knowledge means that we can make better educated decisions, and this is very important. We can also educate the public. As we said, logistics don't mean the same thing to everyone in this room, let alone to this city or elsewhere. So technology can help us in that direction. Then we have green practices, whether these are technologies or business models or whatever. Recently, we concluded a study. It was commissioned by DG Move. It was requested by the European Parliament. And the idea was to assess good green practices, but in their applicability to small and medium-sized ports. Not every port is Rotterdam or Hamburg or whatever. So we have small and medium-sized ports, and we need to see what defines their capacity to green. Okay, so I think it is a very interesting report. We learned a lot going through the process about what is going on throughout Europe, and each port had their different approach. But it is important to have these good practices, and when we open up the dialogue, we don't start from zero. We see what happened elsewhere, and then we assess, can we transfer that to our context or not? So that's very important. And one last thing, we said digital, we said green, and I think resiliency is becoming more and more important. Today, it is supported by technology, but making our infrastructures robust and resilient to pressures, whether these are weather-related or man-made or business-related, resiliency needs to be embedded into the port process.
Thank you, Professor. You made it so clear. Data, connection, new tools, proper decisions. Alex, this calls upon the chamber and Cyprus as a cluster organization to provide from our stakeholders the data the mayor needs. We have the universities at hand. They are able to work with the data so that the correct decisions could come so that we maybe through proper data planning, proper data analytics, derive to the right decision. One quick question to Professor Vaccareno. EU Connexus is a great platform. It has huge potentials. How can you suggest to us here in Cyprus to become an even stronger player in EU Connexus?
Look, well, the benefit is for all 9 universities, Cyprus, Frederick University as well, because of many reasons. One reason is to put resources, data, and knowledge together. So you have 9 hubs of data, you have 9 hubs of education, of knowledge, and research, and you put together all these and of course, you'll get a better product. The product meaning education. Education at all levels, at bachelor level, master level, doctoral level, and lifelong learning. That's important as well. So we are creating new study programs. Frederick is benefiting of these new study programs, and the knowledge is shared and then spread it around Cyprus. You mentioned that you are creating new jobs, you are creating new opportunities. So you need new people to move in. That's very difficult. We all know that there is a shortage of human resources everywhere, and this shortage, I suppose, does not alleviate the things here in Cyprus. They are very much present. So knowledge, data, education, research, and finally, inclusive, because it is equally addressed and equal opportunities for all the people who would like to acquire new skills, to get degrees, or to enhance their education.
Great. Thank you. I think our students welcome very much what you have said. Professor Hein, I cannot resist, but I have to ask also a little bit related to governance. Could you share with us from all your experience, what could be the best governance in order to bring the stakeholders together? How can that be in a controlled manner?
Well, governance is intriguing because you have different organizations even cutting. So we don't really have organizations that cover land and sea. Often land is governed separately from the sea, or in the case of Paris, the quay wall is governed by someone, the port governs the first 25 meters, the national organization governs the next. So there is no governance system that includes water and land. And I think that is something that we really need to be working on. And interestingly, the OECD is now talking, for example, about city basins, which I think, well, this speaks to this concept of the port city territory. We should have a governance that acknowledges the natural systems. Often these are water systems, rivers, watersheds, etc. Not cut it up through the infrastructures we're including, but living with nature, which goes towards this entire idea of nature-based solutions. So we need, on the one hand, a better governance that is in line with the natural systems. But I do also think that we need a governance that is, we had this discussion this morning, not just inclusive in the sense, okay, I'm giving you a voice, but it is participatory. And that's particularly difficult for areas like port city territories, where the port doesn't have citizens. And you have moments where the city of Stockholm, for example, needed to invent a new mindset for the people that they wanted to attract to this area. So how can we build, through education, people who are knowledgeable about what it means to have a port? And I'm saying this also from an education, as I'm educating architects and planners. They see the port usually as, oh, this machine out there, wouldn't it be great if we could put housing on it? So there's a complete ignorance in my field of what a port is. Once we take the architects and planners along, what does it mean to see water not just as something that we want to keep away from the roof and the foundation, but to live with water, changing water patterns as we've done in the past? Then we also get designers who can engage with these issues from a different perspective and make sure that we design the ports of the futures. And I don't know what they would be, whether they're floating ports or whatever, but that we educate people who can think along, who can evaluate, like the dualities that I showed, come up with a decision and potentially accept the other one, but they already have what I would call a maritime mindset. And it's more than ocean literacy, it's being aware of what does it mean to have port flows grow through the territory.
Thank you. Just a kind reminder, the Slido is opening, so if you would like to put things, Vasilis.
all, I would like to congratulate Frederick University and the Limassol Municipality for the great event, and to congratulate the Commissioner Caris for the upcoming Ocean Pact. I've been involved in blue economy since its inception in Europe back in 2006, when it was integrated maritime policy. Limassol's name is after a declaration in 2012, acknowledging and re-energizing the integrated maritime policy. It was the first time that the blue growth was mentioned at the time. But I must say, what we are missing, and it was not addressed today, is to look first internally in our home country. And what we are missing is to build the right mindset for the people, a maritime mindset and culture for our citizens. So my suggestion to the local community, the municipality, the shipping deputy ministry, to the government, is that next year, Limassol will host the European Maritime Day. It's not only a day to celebrate our oceans and seas, it's a day to bring the citizens closer to the sea, to make them understand the wealth of our oceans, the growth potential of our oceans, to appreciate this wealth, to appreciate that we are living next to the sea. And then I believe all our nice, innovative approaches, projects that we are doing to integrate our cities with the ports and our sea, will be more engaged and will be more actively participate in order to have a real blue economy in our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasilis. Thank you. Thank you. We have in the room members of parliaments and the stakeholders. Guys, governance was here described as having a brother and a sister, a mother and a father. Yeah, we have governance on the land and governance on the sea. We have different ministries. We have an integrated maritime policy, which is written but not in action. So we have heard from Professor Hein that we have to give life to the integration. We have no time, Kyriakos. We need to act. It is time for a break. We are running a little bit late, but also we started a little bit late. Try to be back after 10 minutes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please take your seat for the second session? We are about to start. While you are taking your seat, may I ask the organizers, have there been some crispy questions from the Slido? Christina? Christina? Have there been some good questions from the Slido?
Yeah, we have two questions. The first one is to Professor Boyle. What lessons can Limassol learn from the mistakes made in Piraeus port as regards to the port development and its connection to the city? Can I repeat?
Didn't say that Piraeus made any mistakes, okay? Piraeus did not make any mistakes, so please allow me, I have to fly back tomorrow. So, mistakes, honestly, I wouldn't say mistakes, but there are decisions that may prove to be not the ideal ones, okay? Although there are no ideal solutions anyway. I think it's the nature of the port, it's the nature of the configuration around the port that does not allow open access everywhere in the port as it happens in other port city environments. So if you look at Piraeus and you look at Thessaloniki, there are two different things. Thessaloniki has the old pier that is open to the public, and that gives a feeling to the city that, you know, it's their space, it's their territory, it belongs to them, and it's nice. Piraeus is a little bit you know, with the back to the city, looking at the water more, because it is a transshipment hub. It's not a transit hub. It's not, you know, integrated into the city. So, but if you ask me what I would do wrong, I don't have an answer right now. So I won't say they did wrong and here is the solution. So, yeah.
The other one is to Professor Hein. I don't know if she's here.
Professor Hein is outside giving an interview. So we skip
Okay,
that question.
We can move on. We can move
Okay,
on.
then we move on. Professor Vittorio Torbianelli from Italy, as the name suggests, an expert on how the Italian ports have already progressed with regard to the electrification and how to embrace the passenger vessels, how to connect the citizens with the ports. He has prepared us a brilliant presentation titled Facing the Challenge of Energy Transition in Port Cities.
Good evening and thank you for invitation. I'm very happy to be here. So every port is different and it is impossible to give recipes so prompt to be used. But every port has a stories that can be useful for thinking of. So I would like to talk about energy because it is a matter which is quite discussed today for ports. It is not the only matter we have seen today, but it is also for the future quite challenging. So how can I go on? Okay. First, ports depend also on state policy, not only on local policy. You are happy in you are lucky in Cyprus because the country is quite small. In Italy, there are many ports, and the national legislation is a sort of framework for everybody, and we have to comply with. For example, our energy-related policies depend on the government. So, for example, what is doing now Italy about energy in ports? First, is supporting modal shift, because this is saving in general environmental resources, spending also money to move, to transfer cargoes from road to railway. This is a quite interesting aspect I will talk about later. Onshore power, I know that also here you are developing onshore power projects. This is a very sensitive field. It's not so easy to develop because there are many economic conditions around, for example, the price of energy, because it is not possible to let ports to sell electricity at prices that are too high for the market. It is very, it's really not right. So the public sector also have to intervene to support, no discussion. Green ports legal framework and funding. So we have a national legislation to give money to port authorities to support some specific investments related to green projects. It is mixed. For example, port operational aspects, transport means, and so on. Fuels, this is another very important aspect when we talk about ports. What will be the role of new clean fuels? It is also a matter for cities. I will show that because fuels means new technologies, new types of depots of risks, and what is the approach that cities or places have towards new fuels. And we also have that there are new legislations about, for example, LNG and also other fuels. And last but not least, we have a national framework about funding floating platforms. Means wind, means solar panels in the sea. So this is a national framework. It is sufficient for ports. I don't know. Sometimes I think it is not, but it is a point to start. We are a specific port because we are a railway-based port, because our hinterland is very, very wide. And we have initiatives in this moment related to also to energy. First, we work a lot for modal shift. We have more than 50% cargos carried by railway. We are investing in on OSP, on OPS, onshore power, 39 million euro in our ports. Every port will have, in fact, a pier with a onshore power. We are also investing in LNG bunkering for barge. We are also spending money on the smart grid, because when you build onshore power, you also have to comply with the smart grid, with the grid of the city, cooperation with the local authorities. And also, we are thinking to go to new fuels, but we have here very big problems, because today it is not clear what will happen. Hydrogen, ammonia, only LNG, but we must be ready. So we work in a sort of, we try to work in a more enlarged framework. We are put into initiative with is a hydrogen valley in the Friuli Venezia Giulia region, and we try to work on these aspects. This is the message to avoid congestions. We in fact, use railways. This is not for you, clearly, in Limassol. It is not possible, probably, to develop railways, but managing the flows is a key aspect. Hydrogen is a question. There will be room for hydrogen imports and ammonia related, because ammonia and hydrogen are related to each other. When you produce electricity, you can store through hydrogen electricity. And this is a message, because hydrogen is not a fuel, or will be not only a fuel, will a tool to store energy. So we are working in this framework. I think that we have to ask questions about hydrogen, because it will be something in the future. Italy is thinking to develop, for example, also long distance facilities to carry hydrogen. This is a Mediterranean project for a pipeline. So the message is that also, as energy hubs, port must think to the future. I don't know what will be, but we have to start to imagine what will be the future, also to react. Because, for example, this is a project that has been proposed to us as a port authority. Hydrogen produced in Egypt and carried by ship to Trieste to be unloaded in a terminal, in units, in a sort of, how do you say, tanks, to be transferred, delivered to Europe by rail, because Trieste is an important rail port. So the model, imagine, is that. But the question is, it will be possible? Second question, can I imagine to propose to a city or to a local environment this project now? Are there sufficient legal and technical frameworks? What is the risk? And this is the same with ammonia. So the question is how ports will manage also large energy-related projects in the future without having today all the field clear. But we have to think of, and the last picture We are a port city, but we have an extraordinary sea. Also, we like sailing. So I can invite you to the largest open regatta in Mediterranean, Baucolana. See you in Trieste. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Interesting thoughts of the different energy which we somehow need to tackle, even if we consider hydrogen maybe not as an alternative source for fuel on board of ships, but we can see it could be an alternative source for energy storage. Dr. Menelau, you had in the morning the chair for the roundtable discussions. The roundtable discussions very much touched upon the theme of Limassol Forum 2025. Would you mind in just 2.5 minutes to give us a rundown what you have achieved in the morning?
Yeah, we had a very productive and very forward-thinking discussion this morning with participants starting from the mayor, the main stakeholders of the ports of Limassol, and the expert professors coming from several universities abroad, including my friend Victoria here. So the discussion deal with the ongoing transformation of Limassol and the ongoing transformation of coastal cities in general, but we focus more on the connectivity of the city and particularly Limassol. And this relationship is not just physical resources, it's also, as mentioned earlier, about many other dimensions like the environment, social inclusion, and most importantly, the quality of life of the residents. So there was a strong consensus that these main, as I call them, port stakeholders with the lead of the city, the mayor, will go for a clear, transparent plan. And the important thing, since I mentioned quality of life, is to engage the citizens to this plan from the starting up to the implementation of the plan. And this is what it was called this morning as a productive engagement, not just participation of citizens, meaning that to engage them for the starting of the plan. So that was the strong consensus of this morning discussion. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Menelau. We now have another presentation. It's the e-platform of drones for risk assessment and marine pollution. This is another deliverable from the risk assessment which we have done for the Limassol Bay. And we will now see tangible what has been done in order to identify pollution and to deal with it in a professional manner. Who will present? Dan or Angelos? Or Andreas will do it.
Good evening. First of all, let me say that it's an honor being here with all of you and being able to present the MRI platform along with our collaborator, Dan Feldman from University of Haifa, and its associated drone operations for risk assessment and marine pollution monitoring. So allow me first to present a couple of statistics that will help you understand and better value our proposition and the solution that we're proposing, starting from some statistics about marine pollution in the European Union. According to the European Maritime Safety Agency in 2024, there were 2,300 satellite alerts regarding oil spill detections. Moreover, there are 150 million tons of plastic in the European Union seas, mainly, and from those, 80% comes from land-based sources via rivers and runoff, as well as 100,000 registered chemicals, mainly from industrial coastlines, which are high toxic and they are negatively affecting the coastal biodiversity and the human health. So finally, the Mediterranean Sea is considered as the most at-risk region in Europe due to high maritime traffic, limited water renewal, and proximity to sensitive coastal ecosystems. So regarding Cyprus, in 2025, the Department of Maritime Transport and Commerce of Frederick University has decided, driven by the citizens' opinion and sentiment, decided to investigate this complex nexus of marine pollution detection and prevention in Limassol. So what we found? The high fragmentation of responsibility among many overseeing bodies. I mean, the complexity is clear from this map that is been created. You can see the high number of oversighting institutions getting involved into so many overlapping activities associated to critical risks that have a high impact on our well-being. So other than that, the same research has revealed lack of data integration from monitoring authorities, incomplete enforcement of external regulations, as well as insufficient application of technology to reinforce areas of deficiency. So, according to these conclusions, the department has decided for the first time in Cyprus to start collecting data on marine pollution from all monitoring authorities in Cyprus. Or monitoring authorities, including municipal authorities, Cyprus Port authorities, Port and Marine Police, Deputy Ministry, Shipping, and so on. So the analysis of those data has shown that in Cyprus from 2019 to 2023, we have totally 296 incidents. So from those, more than 50% were unidentified. So we didn't know the source of pollution. And from the remaining 47% and something, only 13% has been penalized. So from the total incidents in Cyprus, about 43% have been reported in Limassol. So what we have suggested? We have proposed an artificial intelligence-based web system that will offer data integration, statistical analysis, visualization, prediction, performance measuring, as well as drone operations for real-time detection and warning. And this is what our EMERA e-platform does. So EMERA addresses deficiencies in data integration and management for environmental surveillance, pollution detection and prediction for the Eastern Mediterranean. Particularly, we have designed and developed a web platform for unifying all static, dynamic, periodic, and real-time data by integrating aerial drone technology for detection of pollution incidents in real time. We developed algorithms for dynamic analysis and quantification for socioeconomic impacts of coastal pollution. But more importantly, our platform is scalable enough to integrate any kind of IoT technology, as well as any kind of application for engaged citizens in real time. So the EMERA project has been funded by the European Commission and Frederick University under the call Knowledge for Action and Prevention Preparedness. The consortium is composed of Frederick University, University of Haifa, University of Piraeus, Cyprus Port Authority, and Elexis Port Authority. We are currently in month 15 out of 24 months, and the platform that you see a short video demonstration is just 9 months before the end, so we have plenty of time for extending and progressing. So the problem when you don't have a mouse, we play it. Whenever I'm seeing No, yes. So can you start it from the beginning, please? Okay, here is a platform. You can see we have a dashboard for a quick visualization, a snapshot of all the raw data, the statistics, and the incidents. Here is the Port of Limassol map. On this corner, you can see the credit risk, the risk assessment of the Port of Limassol within a particular period, real-time data of vessels that are at this particular time within the port and in nearby areas of the port. We have the various visualizations like the CMAP view with details about the port and the surroundings, color-coded risk calculations for various locations around the port of Limassol, like the anchorage, bunkering, and so on. We have static data that are important for combining with possible pollution risks, like the marine protected areas, the rivers coming towards the Sea of Limassol, and also historical data about past incidents in the Limassol port. Additionally, we have all the raw data that you can visualize and analyze and download for offline use. We have activities risk level calculation within a particular time period. You can select and find the risk per activity within that period. Various KPIs can be calculated, like the penalization rate, the detection rate, the incident rate. And the most innovative part, citizens can give a call to the port authorities and say about an incident that is happening at a particular location close to the Limassol port. And when this incident is created, then a warning is forwarded to the drone operator, where the drone operator can fly the drone at that particular location. And if a pollution is detected, then it's automatically reported back to the platform, as well as the risk calculations are used for calculating a drone schedule for the operator to send the drone periodically. And if a pollution is detected, again, in real time, it's reported back to the platform. So that's about the current version of the platform. I'm not going to spoil more things about drone technology because our collaborator, Professor Dan Feldman, will give all the details. So Dan?
Today it's so interesting to see so many fields and different from academia and industry together. I will talk about our team. We try to have a drone that will monitor the sea and look for oil stains or oil spills in general. We call it the drone marine pollution detection system. And ideally it will be autonomous. We start with human in the loop. It will be autonomous. So this is the old picture of my group. We have Jewish, Arabic, Islamic, Christians, Druze, everything except women, since she left, but we work on it. So the goal is, again, visual monitoring of the port and real time every day, also at night using IR cameras. Main motivation, oil spill boundaries, find it, detect it, see how it goes over time. And we start with drones using RGB cameras. So to actually do a precise localization and mapping and see everything, you cannot just trust GPS. So in Israel, we also don't have GPS a lot of time during the sea, but also if you have GPS, RGB is much more accurate. I mean, when you walk on the street using your eyes and brain, you understand much better where you are than just the GPS on the phone, right? So we want this also for precision. We have many systems over the last years doing drones in malls, for example, and in the department, I will show you some examples. And this project, we want to work outside. Usually, we have a lot of regulation, a legal issue when you walk outside, security, dangers, and everything. On the sea, it's a bit easier because there are no people, there are no privacy issue or less privacy issue when you're in the port. So it should be easier. I will start with how do we do it in the department. Can we show the video? Yeah, so this is our department. It's a toy drone. It thinks that the toy play with it, but actually it's our algorithm. So it's totally autonomous. The drone doesn't know this map. This is how the floor looks like. And the goal is us in the port to scan all the area and to map it. So no human in the loop. And you see only using the camera, the drone try to understand what's going on here. Where is the exit on the room? Do the map on the same time. So it's called SLAM, simultaneous localization and mapping. So the algorithm tries to understand where is the drone now, and to map the environment. For example, to find the exit. In this project, it would be to find the oil stains or just to map the sea, ships, objects, and so on. And then you want to put boundary on the oil, on the stain, on the problem that we found. So we need computational geometry. For example, in this case, to find the walls and the exit, you want to approximate the point by a rectangular, and then find the exit, which is the point outside the rectangular. Suppose we have the same issue. We're trying to understand how to navigate obstacle and also find the stains. Here we move to the same to the next room until we map all the buildings. And in this project, it will be all the ports, all the ships in real time without human in the loop, also known as algorithm. And the results, I think we can take, yeah. So the result, you get the map of the port. In this case, this is the department. So after the drone scan all the area, you can navigate in the port. In this case, the department. You can take measurement of the oil stain, see how it changed over time. So the human at home can just look around all the port, all the areas, see how it's in this very moment, how it looks like, navigate very fast. You can see also that this is not pixels. You see, these are polygons. These are actually lines and vectors because the algorithm detects the actual object and convert them so we can easily manipulate and render the image. So the idea is that people, it include police, fire department, and so on, can see exactly what happened in this very moment to control the situation. And this will be updated on real time on the cloud. So this case in our department, now we want to do the same on the port here. So what is the challenge? What is the scientific challenge? So actually in the hardware part, the Chinese did a great work. We have a very cheap, low-cost, safe drones. They do everything. You know, you can just buy them and fly great. The problem is the mathematics. The problem is to navigate only with RGB camera. And why is it so hard? So actually you do this all the time in this very moment, but you have a very smart brain. And the problem is that if you have, for example, you can see on the right, you have many images, how to know what exactly, well, the image is only two-dimensional. So you have only the projection, and we try to understand how the total object look like just like by using very few photos. So I think here, in this, we take a video for the supermarket. For example, we have a smart card. This is the image. You have an object like a ship, and you want to combine the lines with the object. So mathematically, it's a problem in computational geometry. You have endpoints, which is the object of the port now, the cloud points of how you think the object look like, and you have an image. And the question is, what is the rotation matrix, rotation translation, so the points would be on the lines. For example, if I give you now an image that they took in this room, and I ask you where I took this image from, you can easily tell me, right? Your brain know how to solve this problem very fast. Mathematically, this is very hard. How we solve it? So the main trick, the reason I'm famous about is not about drones. So what my group did over the last 10 years, we're famous in the world in a data reduction technique called Corset. So we have great algorithms to solve the problem that I told you about, but it takes a few years to run on each image. It's a very hard mathematical problem. Instead of improving the solution, we just compress the data and prove mathematically that if you run the existing solution on the small data, on the few pixels of the image, you will still understand, you find the oil stain or all the other things that you look for. So the new idea is to reduce the data and not reinvent the existing solution. And then using existing algorithms for industry and government, we can just run it on the drone and everything run on real time on the port, on the drone with very low energy devices. So this is the main mathematical ideas that we use. Here, this is the video the guys gave me for the project. I think it's here, not in Haifa. So in the real time, we try to understand how the image look like, what's going on, find the boundaries using the drone that looks for the image, and build the map of all the structure in this very moment, and find if we see find the level of pollutions, and see if and give warnings if we see a problem. So you see the right is the manipulation of the left image when we try to understand where are the levels. Now we want, when you see oil spill, essentially to give boundaries in real time so a human can control it. How to find also, now there are two different version in my groups. You have groups that like the computational geometry approach, the mathematics, and there are the groups that like the deep learning, the AI approach, and it seems that they are kind of orthogonal. So computational geometry means there's no training data, just solve a mathematical problem, trying to find the stains. Deep learning, you give it millions of stains, and you see, after training all this image, tell me the problem. So the problem here, you see, it's sometimes you confuse between two stains, and it's not very stable. And we have quite different problems on the computational geometry approach. Do they press? Yeah. So it seems like you have opposite problems in these two approaches, the traditional mathematics and the new deep learning approach, training data only mathematics. And then one of the problems here that you also need a lot of training data, for example, for this port. So in this day, we try to combine these two approaches for deep mathematics with no training data and millions of images of many, many ports and ships. And actually, it seems that the best thing would be to combine these two communities for the best solution. And I think that's it. I will be very glad to answer questions offline or later today. You can go to my website to see many of our related projects. And the final, but the bottom line is you want to use drone technology. We hope to have hundreds of drones essentially in the port autonomously to improve the pollution monitors. And I believe there are many, many other potential applications here, including logistics, for example, in this port. And I'm very excited to be on this project for the next year at least. Thank you so much.
The key takeaway here is it's an AI. Is that my wrong? The AI-powered drone decides on itself what it wants to see. There is not an operator somewhere in the authorities who says, okay, I don't want to see this because it's a Saturday. The drone will fly. It's much harder to get them, yeah. And what is also impressive from the MRA project, that now the citizens have the opportunity to use the platform in order to notify of an incident which they have seen. This cannot be erased. This footprint, time print is in the platform, and it is auditable afterwards what happens. So it's a great project, we love it. And particularly we are proud that you have taken the extra mile, not just to take an image, but to get the algorithms behind the image to predict what it is, how it will move. Thank you, Professor. We are proud to have with us the largest ship management company in the world, who operates vessels in a very efficient manner, carrying a huge part of the 18% of the transport load what container ships are doing worldwide. The Group Managing Director and CEO of MSC Ship Management is with us, Mr. Prabhat. And I would like to take the opportunity to ask Mr. Prabhat how the Mediterranean shipping fleet and operation from the standpoint of an operator can engage in order to assist in the decarbonizing, to make it more user-friendly for the seafarers, while still you have to test all the different fuels to decide on the correct energy mix. Would you mind to enlighten us a little bit, Mr. Prabhat?
Thank you. Thank you, Karuna. First of all, we are extremely proud to be based in Limassol and Cyprus. And I'm very proud that we can definitely say that we are the largest ship management company, operating almost 650 vessels under our DOC. And if we take together, it's almost 800 ships that we are responsible for. And of course, being the leading player in the container market, we have a lot of responsibility. And when it comes to decarbonization, it is not a matter of regulatory compliance. It is imperative for the company to achieve this one, because we have regulations coming in, but we also have our own sustainability vision, where we are supposed to be net zero by 2050. And we still believe that we are on right path to bring a net zero ship by 2030 in the world. But of course, we have to always make the right choice, or let's say calculated choice of which fuel pathway will lead in the future, while there is a huge debate and it will continue to happen. But we believe that in the current form, the LNG pathway provides the most promising and sustainable future, because we're not talking about the LNG in the current variant, but also about the bio-LNG and the synthetic LNG, which has become almost a reality. And we expect to consume a large portion of bio and synthetic LNG that is going to be produced in the market. And with our share of the large fleet by 2030, we'll have more than 250 large container vessels running on LNG. We are also able to push the energy suppliers, like the big oil companies, towards this direction, so that these fuels are available in more and more ports in a scalable form, so that we are not dependent on a particular trade, everything else. At the same time, we need to continue to evolve and see what else we can come. I mean, soon we'll be announcing a pink corridor that where we are going to be exploring the possibility of a nuclear powered ships, but maybe we're talking of in something like 2035 to have regulations clear. I don't see a nuclear powered ship coming in the water for commercial operation before 2040. But we need to start working on somewhere, so that we want to make sure that we are leading this pathway. But most important is at the end, how we are going to make this thing happen on board the ship. And this is where is the key for the shipping, that we have the right people to operate these advanced technological ships, new fuels safely, to make sure that they don't become an incident. And we invest a huge amount of resource, energy, infrastructure, and time to develop and train our people. This is really the key. And this is, for example, today we are operating more than 75 vessels, large vessels running on LNG, and we have a pool of almost 2,500 seafarers. All of them are our own people that we have trained in the past 4 years to generate this pool. Next year, I need another 3,000 people. So I expect that by 2030, I will have almost 60% of our pool, more than 30,000 crew can safely operate these vessels. So this is, I believe, is one of the key to succeed. It doesn't matter what alternative fuel that we are going to bring.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Pabaja. I just want to add a little bit of statistics here. We just heard that about 30,000 engineers are needed in MSc. The world is approaching, without MSc, a shortage of about 45,000 officers by the next 5 years. So we have to train, we have to educate, we have to get the job done. Mr. Pabaja, another one question. I believe MSc is operating more than 900 ships, not only the managed one, but also the ones which you chartered. And you are a truly global player. Your vessels are all over the world. And you have experience with different authorities and different ports and different infrastructure and different superstructure imports. What could you suggest to the Port of Limassol with regard to infrastructure projects which you believe are necessary for Limassol to remain its competitive edge and maybe even to improve?
Thank you. So I believe, if I need to say, in terms of the administration, cannot be any more friendly and easy country than the Cyprus. It doesn't matter who is in the power or not, So, and this we have not seen only in a particular government. We have seen at all levels of the government, And I really take very pride to say that Cyprus is really unique in the sense. I mean, we got a ship registered on the Christmas day, on the New Year day, and it is impossible in any country. So first of all, I really congratulate all the officials that they facilitate for Cyprus to become such a business-friendly place, I think before we come to also that what we can help Limassol, but I think it is also for companies like us to have a very good community engagement. And this is something that we are extremely proud of. For example, we have been the founding partners of the CMMI. Mr. Zakarias is here. We are also the founding member of the Cyprus Marine Academy to roll out more marine engineers and the deck cadets to the sea, so that we can build up the maritime talent locally. We're also the partners with the Frederick to sponsor the right candidates and bring them to the shipping, everything else. We are working with the Cyprus Shipping Chamber, Adopt a Sea to develop, bring in more talents. Because I think the community engagement is super important before we build up any infrastructure. What is really important is that what is required for the decarbonization or being competitive. It is, the port has to be technologically advanced. That means we talk about one thing that can happen tomorrow is just-in-time arrival of the ships. We all see that there are a huge number of ships waiting in the anchorage. So when they are waiting in the anchorage, they are bringing extra emissions, they're bringing extra discharges. So if we can have a just-in-time arrival, we can immediately solve the problem of these ships waiting. That can become very productive. The port can be efficient. That means port when it can be efficient, because if we can compare the Limassol port productivity with one of the, let's say, leading European port, I think there is a good amount of efficiency that can be brought in. That means, for example, if you bring a 6,000 TEU container vessel into the port, instead of 14 hours, they can finish in 10 hours. That means we are bringing less emission, less discharges, and we can also help whole maritime decarbonization, because we are going to have at least 4 hours of long sailing that we can consume less. There was already a discussion about the onshore power supply, very, very important, not only to meet the regulatory requirement, but also the cut emission. But as my fellow panelist Vittorio mentioned, this has to be at the right price so that the operators and consumers are not penalized. And this is where I believe the port can make quite a big difference. And certainly most important, we know that the whole world is moving. We know that we are going to be decarbonized. Don't ask me how, but it is also important that the ports like Limassol provide the facility that we can bunker the future green fuels, be it LNG, be it bio-LNG, be it synthetic LNG. So this is something is really must to build up the right bunkering facilities. And also, I will come back that, when the Fuel EU was rolled out for the maritime and was brought inside, one of the obligation of each EU member state is also to build up the capacity of the renewable fuels of non-biological origin. And I believe that, we don't see any movement, and the target is very, very conservative, that we are expecting 1% RFNBO by 2030. And I believe that Limassol could make a difference here. And I believe that if we really do this one, it can definitely become competitive. But not to mention that we need to be advanced technologically, and they can build up the port infrastructure, moving from all the diesel cranes and everything to electrification of the port inside also, but also to support again the local community by moving from the conventional study to the green tech. And this is where I believe the institutions like Frederick are going to make quite a big difference. And like your recent rollout program, MSc in Sustainability, is definitely in the right direction, actually. So I believe that, we have all the ingredients to make the Limassol quite advanced and still be connected to the community.
Yeah, excellent. So again, connect. Do we have a question from the Slido?
We have a question from the audience. We have 3. I think we have time only for one.
We have time for one, yes.
Yeah. How protected is Limassol from extreme floods? We have the example of Valencia and their university's partner in the EU Connexus.
Okay, so the question is how we can protect Limassol from extreme floods. Dear Mayor.
Limassol is a linear city with the metropolitan Limassol is the length is 30 kilometers and the depth is 5-6 kilometers. If the biggest challenge for the city is the urban how to expand in the mountains. Actually, what we have done, of course, we invest many millions. Some years ago, Mr. Nikolaidis invest to protect the center. The sewage company, let's say, invest a lot of money, but actually that is not enough. Let's say, I will give you an example. We are for us, Lanitis, the road, Pal. 0.7 invest in let's say in sustainable designing, how to explore how to expand the city, the density of the city. We have to take in mind this, because otherwise we'll have to invest more and more millions in protection of our city. Of course, we saw the consequences of the Valencia. That's why one of our targets is to create a buffer zone outside the Limassol, the metropolitan park. Yesterday, I had a meeting in the Ministry for Agriculture in order to continue the master plan, in order to create this buffer zone. Because if the development will increase and take all the agricultural land around Limassol, for sure we'll have much problem in the next years.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little bit minded of time because we are now shortly overrunning the conference. But I have to ask one question to Dr. Menelao. Limassol area, especially the coastal area, is of the highest importance of the Limassolians. In the eyes of the citizens, the monitoring system like EMERA, which is currently under the development as we heard, how do you see, Dr. Menelao, that this system can bring the change in the future that we really monitor and penalize polluters?
Thank you, Captain Adami. Before I get to the answer, I will swiftly say something more about EMERA. EMERA is about the creation of a platform for the integration of the marine pollution data and using drones also for detection, better detection, to improve the current status, which we have seen before presented by my colleague Andreas Konstantinidis, where we have seen the current system is inefficient. Out of the 300 incidents, we only managed to find the source of approximately 40%, I think, and we managed to penalize only 12%. So we don't know the source. Therefore, the simple statement here is that the current status is inadequate. So the main problems have been identified based on the study: lack of integrated data and the fragmentation of the monitoring authorities. So EMERA is giving a solution to those problems, having all the data coming to a common platform, and the integration, of course, will bring the change, yes. And now the answer, because without integration, you don't have, the data are not aligned. And if you don't have aligned data, you cannot really have accountability. So having aligned data, you create visibility, accountability, and therefore you have the monitoring authorities working on common targets. Yeah. So the answer is yes, it will not solve the problem, but it's a big step forward. And last, based on these outcomes from this forum, collaboration, we managed to bring the theory to practice. How? Collaboration with Haifa University, Piraeus University, sharing of knowledge from the drones, risk assessment, Piraeus University, Frederick University, we managed to bring the theory to practice, which is actually the spirit of this forum, to get people together, collaborate, and bring results. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Menelao. And my last question goes to Italy. 12 points. We want your help in charting the right energy mix, which we have to work on so that the shore power which we will give to the ships is ultimately a green power. We are a little bit in the dark. Yeah, in our minds, we already have built the big plug. We can put it already in the ship, so that's not an issue. We will be ready for this. We will not have penalties in 2030 because we are great in doing these things. The question is, the energy which goes on the other end into the cable shall be green. You mentioned this in your presentation. We want to start from now to think on how can we bring green energy into our grid. It's a big mystery for us. Help us on this.
First, onshore power can be also a local solution for a local non-toxic substances, which is different from the origin of the energy. So this is the first message, because you avoid smoke first. But on the other side, there are also new solutions which are different, because, for example, today some shipping companies start investing in batteries on board, and they are charged along the route, and then they use batteries in ports. So also other technologies are available. What I think is that in general, we should focus on real future sources of green energy. Electricity must be produced very convenient and green in specific countries where you are sure now that energy is, the problem is carrying energy. So storage energy, green energy will be the big challenge. But every report is different, because in Europe, in Northern Europe, have green energy winds. In Egypt, then we'll have green energy or green hydrogen because of sun, but it is a difficult question. Anyway, invest locally.
But we need your help, because you give us hints. You said that you need in Italy floating photovoltaic parks. We are an island. We don't have so much space to put the photovoltaics. So I think we need to connect to do the right research, to not only build the cable and the plug, but also to start the mind to work about the energy which goes in there. Thank you for being all the, sorry.
Last question. Now mentioned 50% of the incidents have been identified the source. Are you going to share information, see where it's coming from, so that action can be taken? Because it's leaving a little bit of the audience with the impression that we're seeing only big ships there and everything is coming from big ships.
No. It is not coming from the ships. What we have seen there, Alex, were what was reported all over Cyprus.
Where is it coming from?
Yes.
Yes.
If I may.
Yes.
If I, not, yeah.
I mean, important to note is that these 296 incidents over 4 years is a very, very small number which has been reported. So the sample is actually not scalable. And it only indicates to us, since it is pan-Cyprus waters, that it's too little data, what we have so far. But we will get better through the EMERA, because now we will get proper reporting.
I think he asked me. So yes, that is the one of the advantage of the data platform is that it will be transparent, and you will know from the time the incident has been reported up to the how has been treated, what was the source available, so we all know what gaps to close. And this, as Captain Adami said before, will be available also to citizens. And this is also confirmed by the Deputy Shipping Minister of Shipping, where they have no reason to hide where the source of the incident. Protecting Limassol coast is a common goal, and nothing should be hidden.
So thank you very much for staying so late with us. We want to close the forum today, and we will all invite you for the Cyprus Maritime, which is coming up in October. And of course, for the Cyprus Blue Limassol Forum in next year again. Mr. Mayor, I believe you want to run it again. And then you may also as well close.
I mean, shall we go down? I think we should go.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, parents and friends, we are bringing this year the Limassol Forum to a close, and I want to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you, of your presence until now at 8 o'clock, your insights and your commitment. Today's discussion have reaffirmed that the coastal transformation is not just a technical challenge, but a social responsibility. It demands inclusive thinking, long-term vision, and coordinated effort across all levels of society. We have explored strategies, voiced concerns, and shared perspectives. But now we must turn dialogue into actions that will have impact. We are leaving the forum wiser, inspired, and ready to act for ports and cities for all. Thank you very much.